Okay, so we just popped on to answer some of the questions that have come through through Donald's 30 day of picking his brain. So I'm just going to read out some of the questions that we've had emailed on Facebook and through Instagram, and Donald's going to do his best to answer those.
Now, I don't know what questions they are, so I hope they're nice questions.
Oh, some of them I can't read out on the internet.
That's the ones I'm worried about.
Okay, first question. You paint so many wonderful beachside surf and underwater scenes in amazing detail. Do you actually surf, scuba dive, or enjoy the beach? If not, where do you get the inspiration from?
I spent a lifetime from a young kid swimming. I used to swim in the ocean all the time. And I used to do snorkeling. And I love body surfing. I'm a real mad body surfer. So yeah, I've had years and years, but I haven't gone lately. But in the past, I have had a lot of time. And I'm still reliving my youth. Why not?
Here's the next question. As we head into the tech world and contemporary designs where things are light and houses have floor-to-ceiling windows, the old masters' styles do not fit into our way of life anymore. We want bright abstracts and amazing pictures. What did you bring from learning about the masters into your contemporary works? I know who sent that one in.
Yeah, I've got a fair guess. It's a good question actually, because houses have changed and there's a lot of smaller works being sold now, and there's also a great understanding of abstract surrealism, for the simple reason people love colour, and colour is motivating. I've just been teaching colour today, and look, honestly, the colours you put on, the colours that are painted, they really reflect your mood at that point in time, if you're honest, and I'm always honest. And what did the masters teach me? Oh, they taught me brush strokes, they taught me to believe in myself, they taught me that we move on, and you've got to have a foundation to build. And they put a great foundation down, and we're still building. And now I'm an old fella, so I've got to watch out now for all the computer art and the modernist style art. So yeah, it's all changing, but hopefully I'm keeping reasonable pace with it.
The next question, I've just lost it, but I read it, so I know the gist of the question. But it was along the lines of, do you ever have paintings that you don't want to sell? And did you want to talk about any one of those?
Right. I have paintings that really grab me. But there's two factors now. One is I'm mercenary, and the other one is I have the very strong belief that my next painting will be my best one. And by selling a piece now, it allows me to paint for the future. And I have that, there's the mercenary side. It really is that you've got to keep your mind young, active, and looking forward to the future. Not doing the same old that people know, oh yeah, I like that, Don, that'll be beautiful, we'll sell that. I don't do that. I don't do it. I've got to keep an open mind. When I go out and teach, I don't teach the same thing I've taught all the time. I might teach the same techniques, but I'm really hitting the ground running with, well, how do I feel at this point, working from my subconscious, and it really keeps me young and active.
Did you want to share the story of when you painted your 3-year-old child and then sold that?
No, we don't want to run with that one. Well, it was money. You were pretty. They liked it. That's a lie.
Thanks, Dad. Okay, what is your rule of thumb about composition?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm pretty hard on composition. For those people that come to my critiques and that, composition is very important to me, from the landscape to the portrait to the square, to the balance, to the interaction of shape, to the colour planing. All those things I'm very, very hard on. And I'm hard on myself because I know bloody well when I've done something wrong, it stands out like the proverbials. So what happens is you say, now, come on, take it right back. Composition is so important. And also I like to have a meaning. I like to have a relationship of shapes within that composition.
We've just had a question come in from a live viewer. It says, do performance enhancing products like wine help with your creativity?
Oh, God love you. Yes. How did you know that? Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes. I've had evenings here where I wake up next morning and thought, who bloody painted that? It's a screamer. No, I haven't. That's just like, no, yeah, look, to be relaxed at all times, to listen to music, to have good company, have food, painting, I think that's heaven on a stick, and I've always said it. And that's why I draw on tablecloths and that when I go out. Can I tell you, the restaurants aren't real happy, but I love it. To me, to have the wine, friends, food, conversation, because when I'm painting, and I was telling the kids this today, when I'm painting, I open up both sides of my brain. When I used to sit on boards and listen to board meetings and that, and budgets and goodness knows what else, as soon as I would doodle, my mind would open up and I would take everything in. I didn't convince everyone sitting there, but it does for me. I know for a fact it definitely opens up both sides of my brain.
This flows on to another question here. Does the atmosphere you paint in affect how you paint?
Yes. Yes, it certainly does. Atmosphere is very important. I've got a beautiful studio here and I've got a rainforest outside. I paint in some beautiful, it's like the tanks in Cairns. I love the tanks in Cairns. Absolutely wonderful. So all those many places I've taught in, they've all been wonderful, and really it's the atmosphere that lifts you. It makes you feel very much at ease and getting your mind right into the subject.
Do your fantasy paintings need to make sense? How do you free your mind up to let obvious things that don't make sense into a painting? Like your flower painting with a blue face. How do you teach yourself this path?
Flower painting with a blue face.
I think they're asking, how do you get not to give as many F words about what you paint? No, I love fantasy, and I love fantasy, and yeah,
I
but
love...
they're saying, does it need to make sense? They're saying,
they do make
you
sense.
don't make any sense.
No, they do make sense. It all depends how much you've had to drink. This is what we're getting back to in the other question. So what happens now is, I love to live in fantasy land. I really do. I love fantasy. It's absolutely fabulous. And it just sends me into another world. And truly, when I look at my surrealist abstract realism, I look at this and I think, oh, I'm in another world and I'm growing and it's moving and I'm really happy. So yes, no, it all makes sense.
Okay. Do you think you need basic drawing skills to be a successful artist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What about a graphic artist or a computer artist?
Well, computer artists, yes, but to be able to draw, to be able to see from eye to hand is so important. And the more you practice, I know a lot of great abstraction artists don't have strong drawing skills, but that's because they don't use them all the time. But to sit down and draw live and draw on site, and that, oh look, it's a must. It's a must, because that's where you get your free flow, it's where you get your composition, it's where you get your structure. No, you got to learn to draw.
Okay, Mary's watching you, and she wants to know, do you have two sides of your brain?
Two sides of my brain. Oh, Mary, yes, I do, Mary. I'm a very, very multi-talented brain. No, I do. I think from both sides, left and right side. And that kicks in, the left side kicks in from time to time. The right side's pretty well dominant now.
Okay. What is your favourite style of painting?
For me personally?
Yes. They're asking you the question.
The magical realism is my favourite, where I allow fantasy to take shape, to take place. Yeah, I would go there. I think that's where I need to be. I feel comfortable there. Like this piece. That's a magical realist piece. It's got enough of realism. I can be totally realist, but I'd like to slip in things that make the viewer think. Mary with the left and right brain.
Okay. Do you see the difference when you look at an abstract painting to those who have just put a bunch of stuff on there to those who have knowledge on how to form shapes and composition?
Yes, we're talking about that today. When I judge shows, I've judged quite a few shows in my life, to walk into an abstract area, you know when the artist has emotion, has intent, has understanding, the relationship to shapes, to balance, it's all there, and you learn to judge it. Over the times I've seen a lot of people go, I will just throw some paint on to get into the abstract and we'll probably kick it over the line. No, it doesn't work. You've got to have that feeling. An abstract, they're not copying off anything. This is the thing that amazes me. They are not copying off anything. They're pulling from their heart and their head. And that means that they've got to be very, very conscious of their stroke, their colour, their movement, their idealism, and in turn, how they feel about it. Very strong on that.
Okay. Do you think your formal training gave you a better base to branch out and form your own style? And how did this style develop?
My formal training, yes. I had it through other artists. I trained through other artists, well-known artists. They were cranky and they painted totally different to me. And it's amazing in my career that I've never ever copied or stylized myself off another artist. So I've always been on that search. And that now equates to the way I think now about my next painting. My mind is so open and sucking everything in. I walk around art galleries and I go, oh, I love it. And truly, I have not been influenced, nor will I be.
Okay, excellent, Donald. If you think the arts is something you want to pursue, do you just get a sketchbook and start practicing?
Yep. Sketchbook's number one. Sketchbook's your diary. And I've talked to kids today, I've been teaching kids for a few days now. The diary, no one keeps a diary anymore. The sketchbook is your diary. There we are recording where we've been, how we feel, little things like notes, diaries about what's happening, and then you go on to your sketches. Sketching and diaries are an essential part of our existence. And you know, I've looked back over the time and I've seen some major artist diaries, visual diaries, and look, they blow me away. They do exactly what I talked about. You'll see these magnificent pieces, and one I saw was a woman going down the Thames in 1895, and she was writing a shopping list about what she had to buy when she docked. You know, this is an insight into who you are. And I look at my diaries now and I think, my God, I hope nothing ever happens to them, because that is a journey of my life in detail without having to prove anything to anyone. It's all about me, and I love my diaries. Love them.
How do you get a painting to flow?
Comes back to your sketching in the beginning, your construction lines, your composition, your freedom. Even if you're going to go photorealism, your construction lines have to have a flow, a rhythm and a balance. To sit down for 5 minutes with scrap paper and work out your composition is essential. It's amazing. I keep saying to people all the time, you don't spend 5 minutes and then you spend 3 days with agony and you end up having to paint over it. You know, it takes 5 minutes of sitting down, looking at composition, because it opens your mind up. You start laying it down. You've got a reference. Say, for example, I use that as a reference. I'd probably try it in the portrait position, holding solely to get my mind thinking on another tangent. So what happens is that you've got to work your flow and your composition through. Now, as you go through it and you worked out all your tonal ranges and everything and your depth, light to dark and so on, what happens is then you can then pull out the strength and push back the weakest areas and work your way through the piece. That's the flow.
Is there anything you want to add, Donald, or anything you want to talk about?
No, just to say thank you for following me. I hope I make some sort of sense. It is very dry. I've only had one drink so far, but that's just to calm me down. No, kids, look, there's so much to learn. And I keep saying, I say it all the time, there's never been a perfect painting painted, nor will they ever be. And when I was a kid, those that were the Mona Lisa, for example, the #1 painting in the world, tops, brilliant painting, probably would be in the top million now, because people's ideals change. You're on your journey, you change things, the atmosphere changes, the people change, the society changes, and so does our idealism as to what we want. And we've talked about it with houses, new houses, windows, modern colours, more abstract surrealism. You know, all these things change our mind, and we've got to just flow with it and be open, because art's a brilliant world. It's a beautiful world, and I love it to bits. Would not do another thing in this world. Love it, love it, love it. Right, if you've got any questions, I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to like, share, follow, or subscribe.